Hey folks, Scott Walters here. Welcome back to the Bulletproof Garage. Old Project Brownie, our crew cab diesel dually project truck, needs some new battery cables. So let's get started.
Okay, so with this vehicle, so this is a diesel, right? And it takes a lot of juice to spin it over. So it's 445 cubic inches. I want to say about 18 to 1 compression. So you need some juice to spin it over. All right, so I've got one battery here on the passenger side. I've got another battery on the driver's side, still a 12-volt system. But again, even with two batteries, it's not cranking over today. And I think the problem is with the cables. And let's zoom in a little bit and see what we're working with. So these may be the original cables. You can see the insulation is coming apart on this one. You've got bare wire right here, not super safe. You've got some corrosion here. So these cables have seen better days, and let's go ahead and get some new high quality cables on here to give this bad boy enough juice to spin over with authority.
And more evidence as to why we need to replace the battery cables. All right, you see this? I'm on the passenger side, underneath the truck up at the front. All right, so this is the engine block here, and that's my negative cable there, and that is bare wire, and that shouldn't be bare. And here's the, so that's the ground, and here's the positive wire that's going to the starter, and that actually doesn't look too bad. But that ground wire, that's bad mojo, so we're going to go ahead and swap that out.
All right, here's what you're going to need for this job. Now, I'm going to put links to everything down in the description. Every time I shoot a video, it seems like people are asking me where they can buy this or that. So look down in the description for each and everything here. So the first thing you're going to need is some cable, all right? This is made by Anchor. It's marine grade. Frankly, the boat folks have figured this stuff out, right? Because they're always dealing with corrosion. So if it's good enough for the marine community, it's good enough for me. And this is tinned copper battery cable. The size is 2/0, all right, 2/0 AWG. And this is thick stuff, but this is the size of the cable that the truck came with from the factory. Okay, now on the negative cables, I don't know if the negative cables on my particular truck are 2/0, but we're going with 2/0 cable there as well. You're going to need a pair of military terminals, okay? You're going to need some lugs. Now the lugs, you've got to get the right size for the cable. And these guys do not have any room to put solder in. We're going to crimp them, right? No solder. So there's not like a collar on it that's larger that allows you to get solder down in there. Okay, you're going to need some heat shrink. I prefer the stuff with adhesive. So you've got the rubber on the outside, but inside, and that's going to shrink, but on the inside you've got adhesive, which is going to melt, okay? So not all heat shrink has adhesive, so buy the stuff with adhesive. I think it gives you better protection from corrosion. You're going to need something to shrink your heat shrink with, all right? I use a heat gun. You can use a torch as well. You may need a drill. You may have to, depending on the size of the lugs, right? You may have to open them up a little bit, and I generally use a step drill bit for that. You're going to need something to cut the cable with. It takes a while with these, but you can get it done with them. I also prefer to use something like this. This is Novalox. It's called an antioxidant joint compound, all right? Anything that can help you keep the oxidation and corrosion at bay is a good thing, all right? So you'll see how I use this here shortly. Again, this is a tip from the marine folks. You're going to need something to crimp the cables with. You've got different options there. These are the crimpers that I use. Again, link will be in the description. Talking about the Novalox, so here is the terminal that I took off the positive side, and you can see the cable looks like it's in decent shape, and I probably could have reused it, but I'm not going to chance it. But you can see, you know, look at all the corrosion there, and if it's got corrosion right here, there's likely going to be some corrosion inside the terminal in here. Okay. you'll also need something to strip the wire with. I just use a razor blade. Okay, I have got a negative cable right here. I've already got a lug on the end as well as some heat shrink. And what I did is I went ahead and I mocked it up on the vehicle, and this cable is way too long. All right, so it's unfortunate. Again, this stuff is really expensive. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut it to the correct length. And that's my mark right there. All right, there's that. So now we need to strip it. And to see how far back we need to strip it, let's go ahead and mock that up there. So we're going to strip to right here. All right, and try not to get it too deep when you're stripping it because you will end up cutting some of the wires. All right, and then give it a little bend here, bend there, and you can see I've got to cut some more. Okay, a little test fit here. Nailed it. All right. Next thing we want to do is take some of our Novolocks, get a good dollop of that. All right, make sure all the wires are ready to go. All right, insert it into the lug. All right, got all the wires in there. And now your crimper is going to have, if you use a crimper like I have, you can rotate these, all right, for different size lugs. So on mine, I just look over here on the battery terminal power lug, 2-aught. I need to go left die, it's alpha, and the right die is Charlie. Alpha and Charlie here, all right? And so I'm going to go ahead and insert. I'm going to do 2 crimps, so I'm going to start off all the way at the back. Yeah, it helps if you've got a friend or if you can use a vise, but it's not necessary. Okay, 1 crimp there. And then I'm going to go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to crimp in that same spot again. And then back up here, I'm going to crimp a little higher. Here. And then I'm going to rotate 90 degrees and crimp it again in that same spot. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay? Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking right now. You're thinking, I didn't get my heat shrink on there, but as you can see, it's plenty big enough, all right? So let's get all the Novolocks off of the lug and off of the cable. Now that that's done, all right, my heat shrink with adhesive, I like to go about here with it. Now, let's bring the heat. Y'all may not be able to see it, but there is some adhesive that is melted, and you can see it right around here, okay? So that's done. Okay, so this lug here needs to go on the battery terminal. As you can see, that's not going to fit, all right? So let's go ahead and open that up a little bit. Probably still small. Yeah, almost there. That should do it. Yep, bingo. Let's go ahead and install it.
Okay, so here we are at the passenger side bottom front. That's the engine block right there, and there are the grounds that I redid. So no more bare wire. And so that is the ground from the passenger side negative terminal. That's the thick wire, and the thinner wire is the ground that goes from the block to the frame. Good to go.
Okay, we're almost done. Time to put on the terminals. Positive first, then negative. All right, your lug goes on the bigger bolt here. All right, that's on. All right, that's not going anywhere. Okay, this is the driver's side, all done. Over to the passenger side. And there we go. I think that's nice and tidy. Now we just have to see if it'll start. Wow, that is the fastest it's ever spun over. I think the battery cables were definitely our problem. Hey folks, that is it for this episode of the Bulletproof Garage. As always, thanks for watching. And 3 things I have for you all before I sign off. 1, if you like the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And finally, post up a comment, all right? I love to hear from y'all. I want to hear what I did right, what I did wrong, what you would have done different, or just check in to tell me how things are going, okay? And we'll see you next time on the Bulletproof Garage. All right, now for those of y'all that are curious about what's been going on and what's coming up, we've got more content on old Project Brownie. That's a 91 crew cab diesel dually field find project truck, all right? And we've got something yellow here. That is my 1971 AMC Javelin. That's a road race project. It's got a cage. I've got a 401 that I built for it and a 4-speed. It's been sitting for a while waiting for me to get to it. That's coming up. All right, we've also got Project Buckshot here. That is my 1969 Ford Bronco project truck that I've had for about 10 years. Yeah, I bought it and I got it running, and then I've been collecting parts for it, and it's been patiently waiting its turn in line, and that's coming up soon. So stay tuned for some content on that.